After a 2-week-long break, Chapter 46 of BAKI RAHEN has officially released, and Jack Hanma is being fraud checked. But before I start today's video, if you would like to interact with me, my community, show off your art, drop some memes, talk in general, or maybe even self-promote, then you can join the Discord that can be found in the description box below. But anyway, in the last chapter of BAKI RAHEN, Jack Hanma actually ended up getting a hold of KAORU Hanayama and judo throwing him, which had eventually led to Jack getting a bite onto Hanayama's shoulder area. Chapter 46 of BAKI RAHEN, titled Not Yet, with the cover of today's chapter being Hanayama with a serious look on his face, with the cover also saying his lightless eyes looking ahead. And we are brought right where we left off on chapter 45, with Jack still biting down onto Hanayama, as the veins in his forehead and neck indicate Jack biting down extremely hard onto Hanayama, as Hanayama is also still on the ground. Not one bit of shame. He bit him? What the? No way, he really bit him. As the crowd was horrified. He's biting him? What the hell? Is he chewing on him? Is he an animal? Jack has his neck fully extended to coincide with Jack also having a grip onto Hanayama's left arm, as Jack is holding Hanayama's arm still, with Jack seemingly having full control of Hanayama's arm. And we're then brought to a flashback with the second chairman's head subordinate, Kizaki Huichiro, to when he was talking about Hanayama's at the time future fight with Jack. Well, no. I mean, I had heard that he used biting, but I had just thought, so this is how he bites. Did it unnerve me? Well, really, I was honestly just kind of impressed, with Kizaki immediately clarifying that he was talking about Jack and not Hanayama. Oh no, by Mr. Jack, of course. I mean, who even does that, as Kizaki seems to actually get a little mad when talking about Jack's Gouda. Biting a fellow human that way? Kizaki then sipped his tea. We human beings are animals, but we are animals that want to look good. Let's put it this way, even if you found yourself in a life or death fight and you knew you could win if you just flung your shit at an enemy, you probably still would not, would you? As an image of a guy quite literally throwing his feces at another human was then shown. Sometimes I really do question what goes on in Itagaki's mind. Of course you would not, because it looks bad. The outrageous act of biting another person to brandish without giving it even a thought. Biting is the weapon of the weak. It is rather impressive, no? Manly even, with Kizaki showing at least some level of respect for Jack. No, not a chance. He is huge. Yeah, and strong too. I have never seen a monster such as Jack before. But it is a fight, you know. There is no way that the boss will lose. We are then brought back to the present, where an insanely loud scream was heard, with the crowd being more petrified than ever and screams echoing through the streets. Even Kizaki had closed his eyes and made a facial expression in response to this loud scream. Hanayama was gripping onto Jack's left cheek with his insane grip strength, which had made Jack scream out in pain. And this also had made Jack release his bite that he had onto Hanayama, and even his hold onto Hanayama's left arm. It seems Jack had messed up when he left Hanayama's right arm unattended. Hanayama just stared at Jack, seeming unentertained by Jack's screams. Jack's bite had left a hole in Hanayama's bicep area, and he was now bleeding, and this seemed to actually make Hanayama somewhat offended, as Hanayama, while holding Jack down by his cheek, had ripped off Jack's left cheek with his hand, similarly as when Jack had recently bitten Pickle's left cheek off of his face, with Itagaki now giving yet another parallel between Jack, Hanma, and Pickle. Hanayama then dropped Jack's cheek onto the ground, with a splash noise being made as it hit the floor. Is that his cheek? Hanayama then taunted the in-pain Jack as he stood behind him. Is something the matter, buddy? Do you want to call the match? Jack had then planted his left foot onto the floor as he seemingly went for some type of kick, but Hanayama had instantly taken notice of this, and Hanayama had shut Jack down before he could even get close to Hanayama. And Hanayama had done this in the form of a left hook that landed directly onto Jack's face, which had stopped him midair. Jack had been starstruck by how hard he had just been punched, with this punch being in fact so powerful that the crowd was lost on what had made the sound that was made from Hanayama's counterattack. What was that sound? Jack's head and back had now hit the ground, with the wind seeming to have been knocked out of him. Hanayama had then leaned over the laid out Jack Hanma and asked him, "How about now? Can you keep going?" Jack had then let out a bit of a laugh while catching his breath. The police have arrived to the fight scene after that scream from Jack, and the chief is on the front lines. Chief Sanada, it is probably about time that we broke this up, right? with half of the police force seeming terrified and most likely not willing to interfere. The chief had then stated, "Do not be a moron, this is not even close to being over." Even in Rahen, Sanada cannot take his eyes off of Hanayama, and Baki Rahen per usual will have another break next week, but this one will only be 1 week, with chapter 47 of Baki Rahen being scheduled to release on June 26th for those who live in Asia and June 25th for those who live in Europe and the United States. It appears Hanayama has proven many wrong and is actually holding his own against Jack Hanma, who I genuinely believe is one of the strongest fighters in Baki Rahen. And it seems that Itagaki just cannot help himself but to create similarities between Jack and Pickle. I believe that Jack, Hanma, and Pickle's characters are kind of intertwined with each other as they perfectly contrast one another. And Hanayama has proved himself to actually stand a chance against our favorite junkie, as Hanayama not only managed to hurt Jack physically but also mentally, as Jack not only lost his left cheek but also honestly some of his dignity for this fight, as Hanayama had stood over Jack while he was down and taunted him, and when Jack had tried to fight back, Hanayama had simply struck Jack down, as well as the police chief confirming that this fight will not end anytime soon, which is most likely a result of Hanayama taunting Jack and asking Jack if he wants to quit before he was hurt anymore. Meaning this fight has gone from a brief one to a full-fledged battle between Hanayama and Jack Hanma. And Hanayama's durability truly is being put onto full display currently, as the same bite that had taken Sukane's muscles or Pickle's face had not affected Hanayama at all. And as a matter of fact, the damage of Jack's bite was so subtle that I'd glanced over the fact that Hanayama had glanced over his own injury, with his only reaction being a quick look before Hanayama would then continue to attack Jack. And honestly, Hanayama's grip strength is a perfect counter for Jack Hanma, especially when considering that Jack is trying to wrestle and grapple with Hanayama. At first, this seemed like a fantastic idea for Jack, but it's progressively looking less effective when going against Hanayama. And also, I can't find a comment to put on screen, but somebody had even mentioned the idea of Hanayama grabbing Jack by his jaw, and that just sounds crazy. But that is going to be all for today's chapter. Let me know in the comment section below, did you enjoy today's chapter? And if you enjoyed today's video and would like to support me, then you can leave a like and subscribe. It is completely free on your end and helps me out way more than you may think. And also, make sure you turn on that notification bell next to the subscribe button so you can be notified every time I upload a chapter overview like this one. And once again, if you would like to interact with me, my community, show off your art, drop some memes, talk in general, or maybe even self-promote, then you can join the Discord that can be found in the description box below. But that will be all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching until the end, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!